Hello everyone, welcome back to lecture for basic concepts. Now, this lecture is going to be split into 5 different parts. Because it's a huge lecture, I want you to focus on this one because it's one of the most important ones that we're going to explain. This one pretty much explains everything that you need to understand to begin creating something in Unity. That includes game objects, components, prefabs, scripts, and scenes. Now, game objects are the core element in the game. Components, they give game objects different abilities. Prefabs are ready-to-use game object that you can reuse anytime. And then there's scripts. Everyone knows what scripts are. And there's the scene, which is where like the world where your game takes place. Now we are going to start with the game objects. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and read this. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It's very easy, but I'm going to show you how to do it in Unity. So let's head back to Unity and open our project. Now in Unity, there are many things, or actually there are many game objects that you don't think they are game objects because of the word object, but anything can be an object. A character can be an object itself. Lights can be an object. Anything that you see in front of you in Unity is called game object. For example, there are 3 methods to create a game object. First, you can go to the hierarchy, right click, and you can create an empty. This is a game object. 2D objects, 3D objects. I'm gonna say the word object a lot in this lecture, so bear with me please, because I mean, the entire thing is about game objects, right? Audio are also game objects, effects, NPCs, cameras, everything. Now this is one way of creating them, but there's 2 other ways. If this gets too crowded, you can just click on the plus icon right here and you can create it from here, or you can go to game object and you can create a game object. Now, let's explain a bit. What is a game object? Now, a game object is pretty much something that you put in the scene and it just makes it do stuff. That's pretty much all. Now, you can create one by right-click again and create an empty, or for this case, let's just go with 3D objects. So let's just create any cube. So select 3D object and then a cube. Now you can see this is the cube that we have in front of us right now. It's floating. To reset its values, you go to the inspector. This is also one of the most important things. That inspector, you can use it to change the position, rotation, and scale. Instead of using the tools, you can just do it right here. So you have like this little reset position or reset rotation button that you can click on and it will just reset the position of the game object, right? I'm gonna move this a bit up, and this is what we have right now. It doesn't have anything because it doesn't have much components, which we will cover in the next lecture. But there's also one more thing about game objects that I'm going to explain. You can create nested game objects, which means you can make them a group, for example. So you have a cube and you want to have something inside the cube that moves with the cube, right? So for example, let's say you have a character and you want this character to equip a sword, or you want this character to carry a sword. Now this sword is going to be nested in the character, so it always move at the same time with the game object itself. It's not that hard, is it? So let's create a nested game object. One way to do it is to select the cube and right click on it, and then you can just, you see now we have more options, but you can just go ahead and create, for example, a sphere, or yeah, a sphere. Now you can see the sphere is inside the game object. You can still move it, right? You can see the position now, it's set to 0. That's because it's nested inside the game object that we previously created. Now you can just move this. Like for example, let's say you just want to make this shape, okay? And now this whole thing is one object. It's nested inside the cube. So if you select the cube and you move it, it's going to move the sphere along with the cube. This is all you need to understand for this lecture. Now let's make it a bit spicy and move to the components. Components are one of the most important things that you have to understand because you're going to be working with them a lot. So I'll see you in the next lecture.